Pokemon Masters, Bookkeeper Toby here. Yesterday, I made a video talking about how the Pokemon that appears in the new Legends Arceus trailer, the found footage creepy trailer for Halloween, I guess, would be some kind of Snorunt evolution. Forget about it. Well, don't forget about it completely. I still think it's a fun theory, but we have already seen Glalie and Frostlass are going to be in Legends Arceus, so it would need to be some kind of third split evolution. And everyone's talking about Zorua and Zoroark now, and I have a piece of evidence that fits into this puzzle no one is talking about yet, so I want to talk about that. But before I jump into today's video, don't forget to throw your Pokeball at the like button, and then when you catch it, go over to the PC box, move it to box 16, and then completely forget about it. And don't forget, if you leave a comment on this video, it acts as an entry towards you winning a copy of Legends Arceus, because Legends Arceus is in the title. The giveaway winners will be announced once the games are out. Right, with that being said, let's jump into it. So yeah, I felt pretty good about yesterday's video going out, and I still do think it's a possibility, but I now think there's this alternate possibility, which the internet just seems to have agreed upon, which is that the Pokemon that has appeared in this new trailer for Legends Arceus, which I'll leave linked down below, is in fact some kind of Zorua or Zoroark regional variant. The reasoning here is really straightforward and solid. The person whose POV this is mistaking the Pokemon they're looking at for either a Vulpix or a Growlithe, and of course Zorua is very similar in shape and form to those Pokemon, and while they do say that this Pokemon has yellow eyes and white fur, if it's a regional variant of Zorua, then that makes total sense, and the idea of contrasting its black fur with white fur to match the snow, a brilliant idea. But they specifically mention that it has a red tip on its tail, which is swaying, which, you know, Zorua does have that. But then, before I get to my big third bit of evidence, there are two smaller bits of evidence that are really interesting about this. Number one is that the point of view character who is seeing this Pokemon at first thinks they're really cute, and then is suddenly shocked by something. They're either attacked by the Pokemon, what's going on? Well, most likely it's Zorua casting an illusion, because that's what Zorua and Zoroark do. They create illusions and then they attack people. They're actually incredibly powerful and popular Pokemon. Zorua and Zoroark are kind of like the Riolu and Lucario of Generation 5, appearing in their own movie before Generation 5 even happened. So here we already see a little connection to Generation 4. But on top of that, if you really want to read into it, it was pointed out on Twitter that the time code of the camera lines up kind of well with the Pokedex numbers for Zorua and Zoroark in Black and White and Black and White 2. So far, so good. So what's the bit of evidence that I've noticed? Well, all day I've been racking my brains, because since the announcements of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl and Legends Arceus, I have a Google Doc which is called The Great List of Sinnoh, filled with Sinnoh-focused topics, and I have written in there, Zoroark is from Sinnoh. And I'm looking at this document like, what? Why do I have that written down? What was that theory? Why don't I write more long-form notes? Why was Zoroark from Sinnoh? I already thought this, what was the reason? But the moment I go to Google Zoroark theory, of course the one theory that comes up is that Zoroark and N are the same person, because Zoroark can transform into people, as we see in the Lost Thorn Forest event in Generation 5. An event that you can only access by transferring in a shiny event Raikou, Entei, or Suicune from the Generation 4 games, and it is remarked by an NPC who onlooks and watches your battle with Zoroark that Zoroark probably attacked you because it has some kind of past feud with these legendary beasts. A nod to the Zoroark Master of Illusions movie, but also implying that some events like this movie actually really did happen somewhere in the history of the Pokemon games. In fact, there is also a similar Zorua and Celebi event where you meet a child who turns out to be a Zorua in disguise, and that connection to Celebi, again, another reference to the movie. And interestingly enough, Zoroark isn't really a Unovan Pokemon. In the original Black and White, you literally cannot catch one outside of an event, and then in Black and White 2, you get gifted N's Zorua, but you can't find one in the wild. I mean, certainly Zorua are a lot more common in regions like Alola, where, by the way, Zorua are known to take the form of silent children, and you find them at the trainer school in Alola. How have I never done a theory about the idea that some of the kids at the school are probably Zorua? Anyway, let's focus on the Sinnoh region and the Hisui region. Because of course, Hisui is just Sinnoh in the past, so is there any evidence, given all of these little connections to Generation 4, that Zorua and Zoroark might have originally been from the Sinnoh/Hisui region? And yes, there is. I found out the reason why this was written in my Google Doc, why I had written that Zoroark was from Sinnoh. Allow me to refer you to the Canalave Library.
At the library!
where there are some Sinnoh folk tales. Now, various mythologies, myths, and stories appear across the Sinnoh region. Most of them refer to legendary Pokemon or big events that happen: Mesprit, Uxie, Azelf, Arceus, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina. They tell the stories of these Pokemon and their relationship to people, and they refer to an ancient past of Sinnoh, most likely events that we will see in the Hisui region. But there is one set of stories, the Sinnoh folk tales, that don't quite line up the same. And this is why I am now absolutely convinced we will be getting a regional form of Zorua or Zoroark. Sinnoh folk stories number 1, 2, and 3. Number 1 isn't really relevant, it's just talking about being respectful of the Pokemon that you eat, because I guess this is a time when people and Pokemon live very separate lives like they do in the Hisui region. But here we go, Sinnoh folk story number 2. There lived a Pokemon in a forest. And in the forest, the Pokemon shed its hide to sleep as a human. Awakened, the human dons the Pokemon hide to roam villages. There is a story of an ancient creature that lived in presumably the Sinnoh region or Hisui region that was able to turn in and out of being a person. A Pokemon like that does not exist in the Sinnoh Pokedex, but you know what Pokemon does exist like that? Zoroark. In fact, Sinnoh folk story number 3 even ties into this. There once were Pokemon that became very close to humans. There once were humans and Pokemon that ate together at the same table. It was a time when there existed no differences to distinguish the two. This might be because the Pokemon Zoroark was a sort of ambassador for Pokemon, taking on the appearance of humans and living among them in the Hisui region. Between the point of view description of the character who is referring to something that looks kind of like a Vulpix, kind of like a Growlithe, with a red-tipped tail, and then the surprise of that point of view character when they get attacked or they're not sure what they're looking at because it's an illusion being cast, the time code being maybe a subtle reference to the Pokedex entries in black and white of Zorua and Zoroark, Zorua and Zoroark's natural ties to Generation 4, being a Generation 4 movie and being tied into a Generation 4 event, and then finally this, a Sinnoh folk story that tells of an ancient version of Sinnoh, the Hisui region, in which there is a Pokemon that can interchange between being a Pokemon and a person by changing its appearance. Its power of illusions. I am now fully convinced that the Pokemon that we should be looking out for in the near future is a regional version of Zorua and Zoroark, and it would make sense that they would give Zorua and Zoroark a whole trailer and a whole build-up like this to themselves because they are such popular Pokemon. But I want to know what you think in the comments, and if you do leave a comment down below, remember you're in with a chance of winning a copy of Legends Arceus. Also, don't forget to use your Pokeball on the like button, and when you catch it, tuck it away into box 16 and then never use it in battle. Thank you all for watching. I feel very proud of myself. Take care. And of course, so hi Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master.
What in the world? So many of you are supporting me on Patreon right now. Thank you so much to the big patrons of this month. There's JD Gottlich, Matty Bar, PokeBliss, PokeAtmos, and Michael Hornschuch. Thank you.